Hi, Canary. We'll be discussing matters in Parliament. You're having possibly the longest running boycott by the opposition and a major test to the presiding officer of Parliament, who's the Speaker. This thing started with the Deputy Speaker, but we're asking, what next with ultimatums being thrown?
Frontline. The opposition boycott of the plenary sittings of Parliament is now well into its second month, with seemingly no end in sight for the impasse. Just when it seemed boycott was starting to lose steam, Speaker Anita Among turned up the heat in the engine room with a directive that has set tongues wagging.
Then that means they should also not be in the committees, because a committee is an extension of the House.
What is at stake as the Speaker brings out the big guns to crush the revolt in Parliament?
So whereas I do appreciate the Speaker's frustrations, the Constitution is clear when it comes to the freedom to associate, freedom to assemble, freedom to express one's views, which also include the freedom to protest.
The striking opposition insists she has no power to determine the manner of this protest.
Our demand of the Speaker is follow up her instructions to the executive.
But do MPs have an unquestioned right to hold the House at ransom indefinitely?
Nobody is going to be coerced or be intimidated into going back into that House.
What other avenues could be used to resolve the standoff in the August House?
To support you to use all the mechanisms within the rules of procedure to compel our colleagues to come back to the House. You can invoke even certain provisions.
For me, I'm happy that they are not in the House.
Remind the executive that the 30 days elapsed and they should bring the statement.
Meanwhile, at the helm of this political storm stands Mathias Mpuga Nsamba, the charismatic and well-spoken leader of the opposition. Some within his own National Unity Platform, NUP, have criticized Mpuga's perceived moderation, saying it might not be forceful enough to deliver change. But is it on record that he is leading the longest boycott of plenary in recent history? With Mpuga's term in office coming to a close, what should be the focus for the leader of the opposition? Who will usher the opposition into the 2026 election cycle?
His appointing authority in making that decision has to bear that in mind. Does he want a leader of opposition that can unite the opposition, or is he determined to have a singular NUP view in leading Parliament? And in that, therefore, he will have to contend with whether to retain or to replace Mpuga.
This is The Frontline. NBS Frontline.
A very good evening and welcome to this edition of The Frontline on NBS TV. My name is Charles Mwangushampagi. The longest running standoff in the House, as they call it, in Parliament, where members of the opposition have now stayed out of plenary, coming to 4 weeks, almost complete 4 weeks. A major test to the leadership of Anita Annette Among as Speaker of Parliament, Thomas Tayewa as Deputy Speaker of Parliament, but also, how does this get resolved? Threats from the Speaker and insistence from the opposition, the leader of opposition, Mathias Mpuga. We'll be discussing those and other issues. What is at stake? What is the issue? A demand that government accounts for its human rights record by explaining what has happened to people who have been made to disappear, people who are in detention and are not being tried. How will that be resolved? I have a panel to discuss that with me. Let me start with the Honorable Ibrahim Semuju Nganda. He represents the people of Kira Municipality and is a member of the Forum for Democratic Change and is a frontliner. Very nice to have you, sir.
Thank you, Charles.
We have from Muntungamo.
What are you talking about?
From Muntungamo, From the Great Lakes Institute for Strategic Studies, Godba Tumushabe is a political analyst and a lawyer. Very nice to have you, Godba.
Very delighted to be here, Charles. Thank you very much.
The institute is based in Tungamu.
I introduced you from Kira Municipality.
Yeah, because that's where I also stay.
Yes.
That's where you also
Yeah.
stay.
I represent the
actually,
political party.
actually,
Is FDC based in Kira Municipality?
You know about it.
Actually, Charles could have said I am from Chira because that's where I stay. But he preferred saying in Tungamu.
I introduced him as from the FDC. Is FDC in Chira? I have from the National Unity Platform, Secretary General, Laos David Robongoya. Very nice to have you, sir.
Very pleased to be here, and a very good evening to the viewers.
It's been a while since we last had you here.
Yeah, we've been struggling and doing a lot of work out there.
Very nice to have you. Huh?
From Chira.
You wanted to pick him up.
You know?
Opondo. Eh? I should
from Tororo.
From Mulanda.
Mulanda.
Not just from Tororo, from Mulanda. Executive Director, the Uganda Media Center and the Frontline. Very nice to have you.
Thank you, Charles, and good evening to our viewers. Before I came here, I bumped into a young man who said, I greet you and through you, the frontliners. Robert Kabashenga is in coffee processing. He says, I greet you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And yes, from Kira, is it? No, not from Kira. Yeah, from Kira. There's a man called Barnabas. He watches the show, the town clerk of Kira. He's a very ardent viewer of this show. And from Agago, former leader of opposition, Professor Maurice Ogengalatigo. Very nice to have you, sir.
Thank you, Charles, and it's my great pleasure to link up with all these gentlemen again. It has been quite a while on my part.
Is it part of the Baralo in Agago?
Knows that I don't engage in idle talk.
So you're calling that issue idle talk, but well, actually things have been happening in Agago over land and the veritas there, but we'll discuss that at another opportunity. Let me start with you actually, Professor. You were a leader of opposition and you've been watching recent developments in the House regarding the boycott by members of the opposition, all of them. Some very curious image from Parliament that even the other side at the beginning of the House was actually also empty. But it is the opposition that is staying out in a boycott.
Yeah.
You've listened to the statements by the Speaker, both the Honorable Anita and before her, the Honorable Thomas Tayebwa.
Yeah.
What do you make of the current state of affairs in the House?
Well, when we were starting the discussions, we said this is the longest. We, under my leadership, we had probably the longest boycott of Parliament. It was more than a month. We walked out of Parliament, but eventually we resolved the matter, not by the Speaker threatening and imposing anything on us. We resolved it by doing the things that needed to be done and forcing government to respond the way we wanted them to respond. You remember the issue of the PRA rebels, and then the attack in the courts of law. I've been watching the things in this Parliament, and I've commented before, right from the time that Honorable Zake was censored, and then this particular issue, and linked to this particular issue is also the matter of one member of Parliament who accused a colleague, Honorable Zake, of having
the Honorable Chinyamatama?
Yes. And I watched the matter being before the Rules Committee, And I said, what is going on? The unfortunate thing about all this is that the Deputy Speaker did not realize the mistake he was making. If on that day when Honorable Zake insisted on bringing forth the issue of people who had disappeared, if he had allowed him to finish, and then he said, me as the Speaker have no answer, I refer this matter to the leader of government business and let the leader of government business respond, I don't think there would even have been a boycott. Both the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker must realize that they are dealing with an opposition that has suffered a lot of injustice right from the campaigns and being hypersensitive to things that they see are attempts to suppress them. And that is the challenge that we are now seeing.
Let me come to you on this same question. The response of the leadership of Parliament to an opposition boycott. And I've had the speakers issued a list of threats. One, you cannot participate in any international travel. Those who are boycotting without clearance from our office cannot participate in the upcoming interparliamentary games. They shouldn't be participating in committee sittings because committees are an extension of the House if they cannot come to the plenary. And she says, seek clearance from the office of the Speaker. But it's a protest. It's not absence.
Well, those of us who haven't had the privilege to be members of Parliament, we are often accused of either not understanding or not knowing the dynamics in Parliament, sometimes even the rules, because when we elect people and they go to Parliament, they become too big. They don't have the humility to admit that they don't know certain things. So I think part of the problem, obviously, in my view, is leadership. Leadership on both sides. Leadership on three sides. Leadership on side of the executive, because when opposition makes demand, you can come forthright with the facts. Where you don't have, you can't even admit, you can concede ground and make good. The second, if you have leadership qualities, you can use the tact to manage a very difficult situation. And so our colleagues in the opposition as well, you can blame the entire House, perhaps, you know, we say now people mushroom into leadership. Our time, you go through the furnace. You wouldn't come to Parliament and in one term, after one term, you are a deputy speaker or you're a speaker. So now people mushroom into leadership, including in the cabinet.
Those are the dictates of democracy, aren't they?
Yes, and you can say, I have said on this show that sometimes you watch a minister speaking on the floor and you ask whether that person is actually a minister in that docket. And so is the opposition. Now, when you look at the age, again, Professor said hyper. These are young people. They have a lot of energy. So they are impatient for answers. And so the leadership ought to appreciate that dynamic. Now, I did cover, as a journalist, I did cover the NRSC, which was a parliament, interim parliament, that came after Milton Obote II and Rutwa. And the country had a lot of tension. But because of the calmness of Haji Chigongo, who was the vice chairman of NRM, we never had. And in that NRC, majority of those people were grown-up men and women. Almost 50% were people who had retired, 60 and above. So the way they handle things, even when they are controversial, when it is a difficult situation, is different from the young people. Then I covered the CA, Constituent Assembly, which debated the Constitution. Remember, the CA was the first time the UPC bloc, led by Honorable Cicero Gwari, was accepting to come to a national platform to interface with the NRM. You remember Honorable Cicero Gwari used to say, monolithic dictatorship, murderers, and so on and so forth. But because of the age, the experience of the Honorable Wapakaburo and Professor Mwaka, for the 18 months CA was in session, yes, we would have a walkout, which was a failure tactic by the National Caucus for Democracy, led by Dan Abudere, the Dikinyais, Agrawore, may their soul rest in eternal peace. They would walk out, after break they come back. On the last day of promulgation of the Constitution, I remember Honorable Agrawore moved a motion seeking to reopen debate on the Article 269, the Dikinyai, what became known as the Dikinyai Amendment. And they walked out. They actually refused to append their signature to the Constitution. But because of tact of Honorable Wapakaburo, the Constitution was enacted. There was not much seen. Again, in the NRC, you remember the walkout by what was Zeritwaula. The DP group had plotted to move out when Honorable Eria Kategaya and Kizza Besigye moved the motion to extend the life of NRM from 4 years to 10. The DP group, which was in that house, had plotted to move out in months. But because of
1987?
1990. 1990. When Zeritwaula stood up,
he was alone.
He walked up to the exit. He looked behind, nobody followed him. And Haji Shigongo managed that situation. The rest of the Semogeres, the Ponsiano Mulemas and so on, remained in the house. So we need to deal with the leadership. But now this leadership, who are you? Who's going to ask the Speaker of Uganda, Parliament of Uganda, or the Deputy, to, even if something is provided for in the rules, there are things which with the tact you can actually manage. And I agree with the Honorable Latigo that if the Right Honorable Thomas Tayebwa had used the tact, probably we wouldn't be in this situation. But let me say this. I have just been speaking to my two colleagues, the ministers, the Honorable Botobot and Honorable David Mohozi. They are in Arusha. They confirmed to me, they have told me that actually what the opposition is demanding, full accountability of the people they are saying, are either missing or before courts of law in a wrong way, the ones who are before the court martial and so on and so forth. They're saying their report is ready. The only snag is they are in Arusha for the summit, the upcoming summit. They should be able to present that report next week. Will it convince the opposition in Parliament? I don't know, but that's what they have told me. Now, I also want to correct you. It is not the opposition that is yes, a large part of opposition is out, but there are also elements of opposition, and the newspapers have quoted them on record, who have said they are not part of the boycott. The Honorable Cicero Ogwan, Honorable Nandala Mafabi.
Are they attending Parliament?
Yes, they are attending Parliament. I think the FDC MP from Pakwach, a number of them, they are giving different reasons why they are not part of the general boycott. So there are members of opposition and independents. Honorable Katuntu. Honorable Katuntu is in Parliament. Honorable Cooper
Honorable Katuntu, the last I checked, was an independent member of Parliament.
Yeah,
independent, you can be opposition.
No.
And independent.
I think the ticket
in our situation, an independent can also be NRM in our situation. So there are opposition and opposition-leaning members of Parliament who are in Parliament, who have said on record by themselves. I think there were like 11 also in the newspapers, and they have given their reasons why they are not part of the boycott. But be that as it may, I think we need to fine-tune the leadership, the style, and so on and so forth. I don't think Honorable Anita Mong can win by threats of expulsion. Now, about the favors, foreign trips and so on, and allowances when you get for trips, if I had been her, I wouldn't even announce that I will deny you foreign trips. I would just keep quiet. If I have been used to sending you, you just discover that I no longer assign you. I don't need to announce it to put it on record that I'm not going to send you abroad because of 1, 2, 3. There are many ways we can manage this situation. Yes.
Okay. David Laus Rubongoya, your party is the lead opposition party, and the leader of opposition is from the National Unity Platform. The major questions being asked, is a boycott an effective way to demand what you're demanding for? And you're denying, as a party, the people you represent, the people who elected you, representation in the House to raise those issues on the floor?
Well, thank you so much. First of all, it is important for everyone to know that before we engaged, or before the leadership in Parliament decided to engage the gear they have engaged, in other words, the boycott, we have tried so many things. You know, we are going into the 3rd year of these heinous violations, criminal activities, to say the least, crimes against humanity, where the regime comes and picks up people and they disappear. I mean, how can we have that in 2023? These people are there. You saw, we went to the Human Rights Commission, you saw the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission mocking these people, Mrs. Wangadia, saying that, wondering if some of them are ghosts, even when we provided all the documents, all the information concerning them. Most of these people reported cases at police. We went as far as going to the High Court to get habeas corpus orders for several of them, including Dam Leader and many others.
How many habeas corpus orders, applications have you made?
I think we've made very, very many since
very many.
I'm just trying to say that some of the people, you see, and that's what people have been asking about the numbers. At the time of when we finished the election, we had about 5,000 people in detention, in different detention centers. And of course, many of them were released here and there. By the time General Museveni saw himself in, we had about 430 people who were missing at the time. And we provided a list to Parliament. And then eventually many of them were dropped in swamps. Others, bodies were discovered. For example, people were dropped, bodies of some of the people were found in Mukono, in swamps and that kind of thing. So the numbers, that explains.
Are these people you know, people on whom you can attach a name, that a body was dumped in a swamp?
Definitely, but you see.
That you're able to pick up and get them buried?
One of the things that is interesting about this is that even the newspapers, if you just go and check Monitor, most of these stories were covered there. I mean, the media was there covering some of these stories of the people who were found there. But also, if you look at the report which we filed with the UN Human Rights and other agencies, we detailed these violations that happened. We even appeared before the Human Rights Committee of Parliament, chaired by Honorable Fox Odoy, and gave them the details and information about all these people who were missing at the time. So what I'm trying to say is that some of them have since been released, while many, many others, of course, have been taken to the General Court Martial, others at Unit Disciplinary Committee, etc., etc. So that has been largely the situation. But what I was saying is that even amongst the 18 who are missing from way back, from 2020 to 2021, even we have a 2019 case of John Bosco Chibalama who was taken away on the 3rd of June 2019. So some of them were able to get habeas corpus orders out of the 18. Others, of course, the courts said that if the state is denying, maybe no one saw these people being taken away and that kind of thing. So the court said, we cannot issue these orders, but directed police to carry out investigations and find out where these people are. And up to now, we are still asking.
So those are still unaccounted for?
Those people, 18 people are still unaccounted for from 2019, 2020, 2021. Now, what I need to also mention is that the abductions did not stop then. Immediately after the elections, we continued to see abductions. I mean, you've seen almost every other week. We normally announce these people. And even the report of the Human Rights Commission actually confirmed. At some point, I gave them a list of about 32 people. And then they came up to say that 18, we cannot account for them. We don't know where they are. 12, they said they know where they are. And the 2 of them, they did not even make a comment about them. Because we've been filing these complaints at different times. Now, if you look at that statement by Wangadia, it's a shame that the Human Rights Commission can admit this and not condemn it. Each of those 12 individuals who they said they could locate where they are, you'll find that these people had been under incommunicado detention for about 3 months, 4 months, others up to a year. And the Human Rights Commission was not ashamed to put that in writing, to say that so-and-so was picked up on 12th December, released in February the following year, by a police bond. There's someone's given police bond, meaning that this person was never taken to court. You understand the situation? So the abductions did not end then. Right now, for example, a young man called Alex Kaliowa, he was picked up on 15th July. He has been missing for 4 months. We even went and got a habeas corpus order from the High Court. Justice Musa Sekana issued a habeas corpus order. They refused to release him for 3 more months. They released him recently, and he came out. Of course, they had tortured him, subjected him to all sorts of gruesome violations, some of which really he has been able to talk about. Others is, trying to get the courage to come and face the public and talk about the things that happened to him. So what I want to say is that what the parliament is doing is one of the strategies. But we have used many other strategies before, going to court, doing protests, all sorts of things that we've done to try and tell these people, one, bring back our people. Some of these people were taken away in broad daylight. People saw them being taken away. The military comes, takes people away from Nansana, from John Damulira was picked up from his shop in Wachseka. Everyone saw him being he was taken away with his son. His son narrated that when they went to a place where they were taken, he had his father being beaten and he was crying, and then he stopped crying all at once, and he never heard from him again. And so these families have been saying, if you killed these people, bring their bodies. If you buried them somewhere, let the remains come so that we can bury these people, we can give them decent burial. So, as to the effectiveness of the boycott, what I'm trying to explain is, one, we have used many other measures, including going to regional bodies, international bodies, including the ICC, about these violations, but also protesting, and this is very important. Boycotts are a very important form of protesting. The constitution of this country gives citizens the right to protest.
The leader of opposition has been threatening to engage the next gear if government doesn't respond. How long should the wait be? You had a press conference earlier today. As a party, the opposition had a press conference earlier today to address the same issue.
Well, parliamentary leadership, of course, takes together the entire opposition bloc. It's not just NUP. But, of course, like I said, one, the good thing is that the leader of the opposition has discussed this with the party, and we are fully behind the actions being taken, and we appreciate the members of parliament. As to the other steps that we will engage in, both at the party level, like I said, and at parliamentary level, we shall continue to discuss. But also we need to understand, I saw what the Speaker of Parliament was saying, and as you know, it is not the oppressor who should determine for you how to protest. The Anita Among must know that, if people are missing, and we have a platform in Parliament, and members of Parliament are there, one of the things that you need to ask yourself is, okay, their presence in Parliament. If they are not talking about human rights, what should they be talking about? I mean, before we talk about all these other things that they like to throw around, the bills, whatever, we must begin with human rights, because human rights are the bedrock of every other thing, of development, of whatever you can talk about. If there are no human rights, if human rights are not being respected in a country like ours, then you cannot talk about development and other things that they keep throwing around.
Goodbye. Let me come to you. Do boycotts achieve their intended objectives?
Well, I think just maybe I would say, if you don't mind, I would say that's a wrong question. Yeah? Because you see, it's more or less like, let's discuss a boycott. What we are talking about, what's happening in Parliament, we are talking about the institutions of state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Are the institutions of state functioning in a way that they are able to collectively discharge their responsibilities, constitutional, legal, administrative, and otherwise, to be able to deliver on those commitments to the citizens? So, if you think of what's happening in Parliament now, you have to understand and say, what is the role of Parliament as an institution? The Parliament, first and foremost, is the custodian of our constitution as a country. That at its core, the Parliament and its leadership is the one that looks out for those constitutional commitments, the compact that the citizens of Uganda agreed to and said, for us, we are led and governed in accordance with these rules. Now, so you have to be asking yourself, does the Parliament today and its leadership, do they actually live to that purpose? Secondly, to see where the current leadership of Parliament is, you have to go back to how it came into being. If you remember the acrimony about the election of the leaders of Parliament, that's the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, the acrimony that went on. But more so, the fact that after the elections, after electing the two leaders, the President addressed the nation and started explaining how he maneuvered the process to make sure that the Speaker was the Speaker. You have to come from that point and say, is this actually the person who should be the Speaker of Parliament? Because you see, how you are produced.
Aren't you referring to the election between the former Speaker, Rebecca Kadaga, and the late Jacob Olanya? Are you referring to this?
No. The election of Anita Among as Speaker, if you recall, it was one of those exercises where after the elections, the President addressed the nation.
It was the previous, I think the election just
you
before.
You might be missing that one, huh? But basically, he basically explained how he worked behind the scenes to make sure that Speaker Anita Among and Deputy Speaker Thomas Tayebwa were elected. You may have missed it. But for you to understand the nature of Parliament right now, you have to see how its leadership has come into being.
And that leadership includes the lead of opposition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And because I'm coming to that point,
yes.
The third point that I would want to mention is, say, and I want to associate myself with what Lewis is saying. If you are members of Parliament, whether you are in the leadership, whether you are just a regular MP, and Ugandans are being abducted in broad daylight, stories come in the media, people report, this person has disappeared, they write the story, the following day the story gets out, another one is abducted. What would you be doing in Parliament? If anything, I actually think that the entire Parliament, if a Ugandan was missing the way the Ugandans have been missing, the Parliament itself should not even be sitting. Because if you are sitting is not to ask the executive to account for just one Ugandan. Because you see, when it comes to citizenship, the life of every Ugandan, the dignity of every individual Ugandan matters. Members of parliament, as the custodians of our constitution, have a responsibility to be able to work together collectively to say this should not happen to any Ugandan. And in fact, I would even say that what the speaker is doing, saying he's going to expel, she's going to expel so and so, she's going to do this, I think it's totally diversionary. That her job, I think she's basically abdicating her responsibility as the custodian of that institution, because its primary responsibility is not to debate, is not to pass a budget to go and build a road and build a school. Those ones are important. Primary responsibility is the dignity of the Ugandan citizens being respected. And that's where she needs to start from. In fact, she should be congratulating these opposition politicians. Because I mean, it would be, Ugandans should be really, should feel abandoned if the leader of opposition, Mathias Mpuuga, was to lead his team and sit in that parliament and discuss a budget and discuss the other road and discuss this bill.
Isn't that exactly what the speaker is talking about? He says, you are not participating in plenary discussions, but you're sitting in committees, making decisions. You're participating in every other parliamentary activity.
Is she aggrieved that they're sitting in plenary?
No. She says you're participating in every other activity apart from sitting in plenary.
So these MPs are doing a very, very legitimate and important action. One is that they are protesting. And in terms of protest, they can choose not to sit in the plenary. They can choose not to sit in the committees. They can choose to sit in the primary and abandon the committees. The most important thing is that these MPs are protesting, that the dignity of Ugandans should be respected, and any MP who is not looking at that as something serious, any leader of parliament who is not looking at that as something as serious, means that you are abdicating your responsibilities. Yeah, so that's basically what I would say. I think that Ugandans, you see, as a country, we are coming from, we have a history. The history of Uganda, the agony that we have gone through is clearly articulated in the preamble to the 1995 Constitution. You just have to always go back to that preamble and realize how we have not moved an inch in terms of building the foundations of a prosperous democracy and a shared prosperity.
Thank you. Honorable Ibrahim Semujunganda, let me come to you. Are you one of the protesting members of parliament?
Where do you live?
In Uganda. I'm asking you. So you account for yourself. Don't ask me to account for you.
No, you are a media person.
Yes, I am.
So you must know. I am out of parliament. Yeah.
Or another business or part of the protest?
I thought we are debating the boycott. So I am one of the MPs who are boycotting parliament.
You've listened, and I saw you comment in your comments in the Monitor on the threats from the speaker, and she's been quoting rules of procedure. I've also seen the presiding officer referring to Article 89 of the Constitution, of
under which rules are made.
Yes, under which the rules are made, to say if you miss 15 sittings of parliament, then your position can be declared vacant, and she has threatened to do that, to do just that.
Let me start with the small things. Each time the matter of attendance has been raised in parliament, I have asked either the speaker or the deputy to account for Janet Kataha, who, even at her vetting happened on Zoom, she has never attended a single meeting. I keep asking them when they are haranguing other ministers, what about this one who doesn't attend? And you've seen the speaker say that Kataha is attending on iPad.
Because you amended your rules of procedure to allow virtual attendance of...
Then why do you quarrel with other ministers who are not attending? They are also attending on Zoom. Let me use, I want to use the word iPad, not Zoom. That each time attendance of ministers is raised, Kataha, Museveni's wife, is attending on her iPad. And then we ask, okay, she can answer questions on her iPad. And then the speaker said, you come and see her, she's attending. Can he not?
Have you ever taken the offer to go and see?
Because I know she's not there. I don't want to be involved in childish games. Kahindo Tafire, my friend, is not attending Parliament. So, you see, things have disintegrated. You guys are just joking, but things have disintegrated. The moment you choose to run the state that way, that you're going to staff it with the people that you cannot hold accountable, you are just translating and transferring indiscipline to other people who are serving the state. Because your wife is there, you can't call out. I asked Museveni when we were with him on the radio station, if he can ask his wife to account. And he can't. Then you have lost the legitimacy to hold any other person to account. This debate we are involved in, the Parliament under Honorable Thomas Tayewa gave government 30 days within which to account for the missing people. And then the counting started. The 1 month was ending on 19th. How did we abandon that counting and then you start another counting of Semuju and others not attending? Crazy. The counting that the countdown that we are on as an institution was a countdown on ministers, government, accounting for the missing persons.
And that was supposed to be to end on 19th?
Yes.
Of
how did we abandon that countdown to now begin counting down for those who are demanding that these fellows bring a report? How? And if media people should help the country. How did we abandon that countdown? For the speakers now to begin, say today is the 50th day, some you are not attending. Why did she abandon
introducing clocking systems?
Yes, why did she abandon the countdown? Because you see, Parliament must not act like a theater. That's what I was telling the Honorable Taiwa the other day on Chinyamatama and Zake. The speaker ruled that this matter is referred to the disciplinary committee. Then the women MPs threatened to undress. Then she said, okay, now you bring the video and play it. I said, now, decisions of speakers in Parliament are final. There's even a process to challenge them. The speaker cannot give 1, 2, 3 rulings on the same matter in 2 seconds. This particular countdown was a countdown of government to account. And the government said, we will come back and account within 30 days. The 30 days ended on 19th. We are waiting. Now, instead of the speaker issuing a threat of chasing the ministers who are not accounting, she's now gone to the soft spot of the same Jews that you guys don't come here.
By the 19th, hadn't you started the boycott?
It does not matter. It doesn't matter. Because Parliament as an institution took a decision that government must account for the missing person within 30 days. The 30 days started counting. On 19th, they ended. The speaker came and said they are attending a meeting. Instead of coming to tell the ministers that have given you 1 more day, you don't come here, I will chase you. She's now chasing. Those of you are demanding, you will be now want to be chased. Really. So the speakers should help us. We've told the speaker many times, I've attended a meeting presided over by the speaker. And this matter is not between you and us. You did not disappear these people. We want these government people who disappeared people to be the one to account. And I agree with everybody here. This is diversionary. You now want us to begin discussing the speaker and the threat. I saw Chris Bariomus saying that we're going to continue to have mandas. The speaker said the trips. So you want to reduce the institution of Parliament to trips and mandas? Is that where we have reached? Really? This country, that institution of Parliament now is discussing trips and mandas and the committees, and we go back to the missing persons. I have been sworn in as an MP 3 times now. Each day, I am given a copy of the Constitution, and I take an oath that I will uphold and defend this Constitution. What was that defense meant? If they are kidnapping people, either they have murdered them, and I took an oath that I will defend this Constitution. So was it a ceremony? The presiding officer should help us. I don't want to be engaged in a quarrel with them. This quarrel is not their quarrel. Let me quarrel with the people who have kidnapped people. They should bring them from wherever they are. Mr. Museveni said at the beginning of his administration that in his parents' room, even a needle could never disappear. And then he asked Obote and Amin, how did human beings disappear when in another house a needle could not disappear? Now under Museveni, Even needles are disappearing, but even human beings are disappearing. We are demanding, please bring them. They are saying now, count down. 1, 2, 3, you will be out of parliament. For God's sake, for me, you can chase me out of parliament. But these people must be produced.
Okay, let me take a message. Someone says, Uganda's history is that of conflicts in governance. We ousted Idi Amin and Obote for atrocities committed during their regimes. If Ugandans, like the leaders of parliament, can act the way they are doing, without any insights of this history, I cry for my beloved country. I don't have the name for... yes, this is James Tumusim, I think in Intungamo. No, someone says Moses Nkutu. Yeah, I think it's Moses Nkutu who says, who's sending this message. Let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll pick up this conversation again.
NBS Frontline.
Unleash your edge and enjoy Smirnoff Guarana in a bottle and the new Smirnoff Pineapple. Crack open an ice-cold bottle today for more flavor and more edge. Smirnoff. Choose flavor with edge. Excessive consumption of alcohol is harmful to your health. Strictly not for sale to persons under 18 years. Please drink responsibly.
Are you having headache, sore throat, muscle pain, toothache, or fever? Then use Curamo Plus. Curamo Plus is strong on pain and gentle on stomach. It's available in all drug shops countrywide. It's not recommended for children under the age of 12 years. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Attention, attention! Many of you have been buying backroom sheets. That has to stop. Engineer Kajubi Nduse. Classing session. No school fees. Kati waliwo abagamba nti all mabati are the same. Mbalaba. It seems you want a retake in building your home. Some of you go to make good call on your roof, only to find that karate yasoke. Eyo mupeyo. And those of you taking shortcuts, eyo nyondo kumutwe. Now, let me tell you, superior quality, terimba. Era, ask for Uganda but because nothing beats superior quality.
Choose from Uganda Bati's wide range of superior quality roof sheets and make your home the pride of the neighborhood.
Wow, this is what I call a home.
Uganda Bati, nothing beats superior quality.
Here's an opportunity to perform during the UB40 featuring Ali Campbell concert. Using your smartphone, record a video of yourself singing one of Ali Campbell's songs like Red Red Wine, Cherry Oh Baby, Falling in Love, among others. Post it on your TikTok or Instagram using the hashtag NextBigThing or the hashtag UB40FTAliCampbell. The videos with the most likes or engagement will be selected to either win tickets to the show or qualify to perform live during the concert. UB40 featuring Ali Campbell, the next big thing.
Are you an investor or have you always wanted to invest in Uganda? The State House Investor Protection Unit is here to review and collaboratively coordinate to resolve issues that affect you. As a protection unit, we promise to uphold the highest standards of honesty, transparency, vigilance, and collaborate with stakeholders to empower you. Find us at Plot 51B, Lumumba Avenue, Nakasero, Kampala, Uganda, or call us on 0414-250-284 or 0326 100 630. You can also WhatsApp on 0764 001244 or email info@statehouseinvest.go.ug with any queries or inquiries.
Dreamline Furniture brings you the best comfort to your home. Come and buy international world-class furniture from Dreamline Furniture, ranging from sofa sets, dining tables, king-size beds, TV stands, among others. Right from Turkey to Kampala. Save that air ticket money and get quality and durability at Dreamline Furniture. Located opposite Shell Ginger Road, Kampala. Ample parking spaces available behind the Winton Road. Dreamline Furniture. Comfort at its best.
Welcome to the luxurious Hotel Brevard, your ultimate destination for relaxation and grandeur in Masaka City. Experience unmatched comfort in our magnificent and luxurious rooms, each designed to cater to your every need. For your business needs, we offer 7 comfortable conference rooms with state-of-the-art facilities. Indulge in a culinary journey at our restaurant. Stay active and fit in our modern fitness center, equipped with the latest exercise equipment. Our sauna and steam bath facilities, perfect for rejuvenation. Take a dip in our refreshing swimming pool and bask in the tranquility of our lush poolside area. As the days turns into night, Hotel Brevard continues to shine with its enchanting illumination. Or unwind at our bar where you can savor exotic cocktails and beverages. Hotel Brevard Limited, where luxury meets tranquility.
Frontline.
You're still watching the Frontline on NBS TV, and the Frontline is actually in the August House, Parliament, where members of the opposition continue on their boycott of plenary sittings. And the leadership of Parliament is threatening to, one, deny them foreign trips and stop them from participating in other parliamentary activities if they actually still staying on the boycott. I have a few messages here. Job Richard Matua says, the predicament in Parliament, MPs of the opposition have genuine concerns about disappearance of the citizens. However, I strongly believe they should use Parliament to address their issues. This political theatrics of going to Parliament to eat in the canteen, sign for allowances in committee sittings, clog the machine, clocking machine, yet remain in the corridor should stop. Government should equally give accountability for the missing persons. That's Job Richard Matua. BMK Gifting Nansana says, looking at how the Right Honorable Nalongo Anita Annette Among is handling the opposition MPs who are boycotting, the parliamentary plenary exposes her prejudices and biases as she executes her roles and responsibilities as the Speaker of Parliament. Look, it's on record that there are a number of ministers who are also MPs that are perennial absentees, but I don't remember when she has ever looked into their faces and hurled the same threats and intimidation. The 11th Parliament is being run like some secondary school in Chana Mukaka village. That's BMK Gift in Nansana. Karamagi Thomas is watching the show. Thank you very much for watching. I see Ainaman Jr. is also watching the show. Thank you for watching. And I think one or two other people. Let me just pick a message from, what is this? Amotimo Iguatoro Robert Bwangoro Wakasenyi says, I would like to thank the Frontline for good submissions, and the way forward is that let the Speaker act like a good shepherd who left the 99 sheep to look for one which was lost. This time, the opposition are not lost. They are on spot. So let her call them back for a round table. Says thanks. Thank you, Robert Rwakasenyi, for the comment. I have another message here. Okay, this is not yet through. I will read Ken Mutenyo. Yes, Ken Mutenyo says, what is the alternative to dialogue? Parliament's job is to talk. Lewis says there are people who were released. Were they released because of any walkouts? The timing suggests the impact of 2026. There is a subplot of who becomes LOP and another subplot of who gets the NUP ticket for 2026. The MPs must file writs of habeas corpus for the 18 as they debate other matters that concern us. How many people have been released so far because of the walkout? The first walkout was never agreed by on by the opposition. Someone just used his hours to campaign for LP position. He says you're deliberately avoiding the question on habeas corpus, which I think you actually did answer. Someone says dialogue between the opposition and the government is essential. The legitimate demands of the opposition deserve consideration, and parliamentary proceedings provide an appropriate platform for resolution. There are quite many messages. I will not be able to pick all of them. Let me just look at this one last message before we go back to the discussion. Article 21 of 1995 Constitution stipulates fundamental rights and freedoms of the individual are inherent and not granted by the state. I am meant to believe that the Speaker is a lawyer. She must understand the weight of that provision. Honorable Semujunganda is so emotional tonight. I hope he doesn't break into tears like this is Musana Arafat in Ginger West. The Speaker usurped powers of the Parliamentary Commission. She asked Honorable Semuju if the Parliamentary Commission has held a meeting this year. Has it?
I am not a member.
You're not a member,
yeah.
So you don't know what it's doing. Okay, anyway, let's come back into this discussion. Honorable Latigo, I want to come back to you. What would it take to resolve this impasse? And are there other avenues through which this accountability can be demanded? I mean, the missing persons.
You know, where Parliament has reached, if the Speaker was talking to government and telling government, you are bogging us down, get your report regardless of what the content is and present before the House, and we pick it from there. Unfortunately,
you have had previously the leader of government business stand on that floor to offer exactly that. You've seen the Minister of State for Internal Affairs, General David Muhoozi, standing on the floor to explain and hasn't been given the opportunity to.
Yeah, but was this issue about the opposition and the Speaker? It wasn't.
She is the presiding officer. And
yeah,
she's finding difficulty.
And the role of the presiding officer is to preside. It is not to take sides. And the issues that were raised, they were not raised for us to answer. They were raised for government to account. And let the government account. It is just as simple as that. And, you know, I'm not someone who is reckless. But the things that are happening in that parliament.
But Charles,
yes.
Just, Professor here opened the discussion by saying that the walkout, the boycott, when he was the leader of opposition, has so far been the longest.
More than a month.
Yes.
That's what he said.
Can he tell us if his walkout is what brought out PRA, the case he is mentioning, and which other case? The court siege?
Yeah, the black.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Can he tell us if it was his walkout or there are other additional things that he took that he could now advise his colleagues now that they have walked out and made a statement? I think this walkout has other intent. Not just my young brother here can make a graphic.
No.
Including saying that dead bodies were thrown in swamp. You can make that one we can ascertain.
Sure. When Tinyefuza was in northern Uganda and loaded people on a truck, the truck left north and those who died along the way were being thrown out, will it be new under this government?
I am saying we can re-examine the allegation he's making.
These things have happened under
I was
this
asking the professor,
No,
since he has ever led the walkout.
You see, when we walked out, I can tell you, for example, that we sought to go and meet the judiciary. And we wrote to them. And when we went, the principal judge then, Justice Ogola, actually said, you don't bring your journalist here. We said, no, we are not responsible for the court's precinct. We are coming. If the journalists are coming, that is not our responsibility. Now, when we went and we sat down and we started with a prepared statement, and when our statement was in support of defending the judiciary, it was Justice Ogola who then said, oh, no, you hold on, let us call in the media. And they called in the media, and we talked. We went to the same Human Rights Commission, and there was a lady Human Rights Commissioner who said very bad things at us. When we were returning to the house, we brought up that matter. The speaker said, this is a matter that was outside Parliament. You cannot discuss the person in absence. But later, they realized that what we were doing was the right thing. Regardless of the politics behind this, because these are all politicians. Is Honorable Semuju a priest elected to pray in Parliament, or cultural leaders? These are all politicians. And every moment of their life, it is politics. But when you're a leader, it is incumbent upon you to understand the people you are dealing with.
Let me rephrase my question.
Yes.
Is a boycott a winning strategy for them to get what they're asking for?
I don't know if you are talking, if what they want is a winning strategy. But a boycott was a reaction to how the matter was handled.
Your boycott, the one you're referring to,
yeah,
well, could have fallen into other activities outside of Parliament, but you actually say that you reached out to other institutions. You reached out, for example, to the judiciary, but there had also been a boycott. Yes, the lawyers boycotted.
Yeah.
You had the judiciary itself protesting. You had the principal judge then penning a poem to protest that siege of the High Court. Yeah. And there were other actors outside of Parliament. But this one has still been confined just to Parliament.
Yeah, you see, if you bring it to Parliament, it's good Honorable Semuju is here. Under the then Deputy Speaker, the late Jacob Olang, Honorable Semuju and Udongo Todd, they protested and they were sent out of Parliament. And after serving the 3 days, the Deputy Speaker wanted Honorable Semuju to apologize. I was on my farm. I was not a member of Parliament. I tried to call him. I couldn't. I quickly wrote an article. And I said Semuju was right on rules. Because the right of members of Parliament to protest cannot be taken away by the Speaker. The Speaker cannot punish them for it. No.
But Charles. Yes. Yes, good.
You see, I don't know why we're finding this difficult. This is one, it's not about members of Parliament sitting in the House or sitting outside.
Yeah.
This issue is simple. Members of Parliament raised the issue of missing Ugandans. The government has even acknowledged that they are missing Ugandans. The Human Rights Commission has acknowledged they are missing Ugandans. I don't know why we are trying to divert this discussion to people who are sitting in parliament or not. Even Prof would say, even this is not about rules of procedure of parliament.
I don't see
this is about, Charles, this is about Ugandans who are missing.
Yes. And the big question, Godba, that we're trying to deal with here is a boycott the one that produces those?
No, maybe what you should be doing, maybe you should be saying, we should think of the MPs are boycotting. That's what they have chosen to do within the limits of their work and their power. They have said we need government to provide full accountability to Ugandans who are missing. Or we should be saying, say, you journalists, what are you doing?
We're discussing it here.
You religious leaders, what are you doing? You business people, what are you doing? I think that because you see, when we go into discussing the techniques, you know, sometimes I don't know whether people feel the pain of the people who have missing persons. Yeah, most of these people, they may not have had one of their own kidnapped, or they may not have had someone missing. When you have a missing person, when you are a relative or someone you know, because some of us have had our people arrested, they are taken to jail, they are taken to police, and they can't even be produced in court. I don't know whether people feel the pain. So the reduction of this reductionist approach to discussing of the technicalities of boycott or no boycott or whatever, I think it's a bad indictment on us as a country that we have citizens of this country missing, and then we are discussing on whether we should boycott or not. No, we should be discussing on what do we need to do as Ugandans, by the way, because MPs are just one segment of Ugandans. Yes, as Ugandans, all of us collectively, what do we need to do to make sure that responsible minister or the president, who is the commander-in-chief, make sure that there is a report in that parliament that tells us where Ugandans are, why they are being held. I know that I've been following up this case in the case of the NUP guys from Karangara. You know, these are young people who go excited, supporting their candidates. You are going for a rally, and then you round up young people, you bring them and put them to the court martial. You really think that these young people were going to come from Karangara and overthrow you as a government? Then you take them to the court martial, and you can't even get them bail, and then we discuss why are MPs boycotting or how are they boycotting. It's a wrong discussion, and I think
the discussion is about strategy. It's not about the reasons they're on boycott. It's about strategy. But OO has been itching to say something.
On Saturday, this coming Saturday, we from Mulanda, we are going to bury the widow of the late Charles Oboto Fumbi, the minister who was murdered with the Anglican Archbishop General Luwum and Erna Oriema. So, NRM, government and NRM people, obviously these accusations, even if they were false, some of course are paintings with the thick brush, but that's okay. We shall re-examine.
Where is the painting with a thick brush when people are missing or people have died?
People not speaking the truth. It is as if the government has not attempted to account. Like Rubongaya here has just said, soon after elections, they actually said, on the floor of parliament, they said 1,400 plus. They then submitted a list, I think 460. And 23. At that time, the government asked them, said, give better particulars. Because on that list, which is in parliament, in many instances, the overwhelming majority, they gave single names. They would say Hussein of Kawempe.
Not at all. That's false.
No.
The list is available.
This is why I'm saying the list is there. I said in many cases. Two, they would even say Hussein Semakula of Kawempe. Now, when you say Hussein Semakula of Kawempe, can the police or parliament, for that matter, actually get to the root? At that time, I remember Honorable Otafire came to the house and said, provide better particulars. And what did he ask for? He said, provide both names. If they are indeed your members, help us provide NIN, the national identification numbers, if they have national identification. If they don't have, provide LC1 next of kin, telephone number. In many of the cases, they did not provide. Nevertheless, that trace was made. Some of the people were found. Some of the people were released. Others, actually, they discovered they had long been released, but most likely because of fear, they left where they previously resided and went elsewhere. There was even at that time suspicion that a number of them could have even perhaps found their way out of Uganda into what we all now know, labor externalization in the Middle East and so on, and Canada and so on and so forth. Anyway, nevertheless, the list since that time have now been reduced to 18. Even among the 18, I have said here, and even he has acknowledged their dispute now, out of the 18, is that some of them are wrongly before the court-martial. Now,
no, the 18 are missing.
If somebody is wrongly before the court-martial, the Constitution of Uganda provides for how you can challenge that trial before a wrong court. But nevertheless, I want to say, the government of Uganda will be ready next week, like I said here. My two colleagues, Obote and David Muhozi, who attended that meeting they are referring to with the speaker, where 30 days was given. They will be back here early next week. They will ask the speaker for time, and they will respond to the matter of 18. Now, why am I saying that the people are not genuine? Robongo has just said that there are people who are murdered. He's making it appear as if there were many people who were murdered and their bodies thrown in swamps. And I'm saying, if that allegation is accurate and he has full information, we would request him to provide details of people who were murdered and thrown in the swamps in Mukono and so on, and other places and so on, so that we say never again this thing to happen. But it is an indictment on NRM.
Godber did make a reference to the preamble of the Constitution.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I told you that on Saturday we are burying this lady Elizabeth, the wife of the widow of, and therefore for NRM, it is even embarrassing that we are being accused of presiding.
Would you add wrongly?
Some of the cases are wrongly. But we admit, even one case shouldn't happen, and we are unable to respond to it to the satisfaction of the people who are making the accusation.
Okay.
And therefore, really, the minister is responsible, the officer is responsible, will be making an account. If the response is inadequate, we shall gladly go back and examine until this matter is settled. Now, you had asked earlier on whether a boycott is the right strategy. I agree with the Godber that you are asking the wrong question. It is the person who is aggrieved who should choose which method. If they want to choose staying away even for a year, they are free to do so, but Parliament will continue to work. Uganda will not come to a standstill because Mpuga has led his people out. Where I concur with the speaker,
to suggest, if you had him well, God seems to suggest, if you had him well, that the country should actually be at a standstill because human rights of citizens are being abused.
No, I am saying, the aggrieved are free to choose the method of struggle. Even if they want to say, like Zirituaura did, and say, en masse, the boycott hasn't worked, we are resigning from parliament tomorrow. That's their choice. Now, where I agree with the speaker, in the sanctions she's seeking to apply, particularly the one she gave yesterday, is to deal with the double standard, the insincerity, where she says, you come, you clock in, because you clock in, you don't come to the plenary, you go and do other businesses. Perhaps you go upstairs to eat mandazi, which my brother Semuju find offensive. I don't know why Semuju being accused of going to the canteen to eat mandazi is so offensive for him. When Semuju will accuse
the fuel that brings me from
when
to Parliament.
When you go to the canteen, you don't eat mandazi. You have to coordinate. So for me, that's why I support the speaker to deal with the double standard and insincerity. And by the way, the boycotts are not by the way in these strikes.
I think what Semuju and colleagues are arguing is that by accusing them of going to eat mandazi is trivializing.
Trivializing.
Yeah.
When I'm debating with you, I can choose to trivialize your point.
No, not
in a way, you know. Yes.
Not a point involving human life.
And by the way, in these strikes, these MPs doing this double standard, it's not just MPs. You remember the other time when the magistrates were, the judicial officers were striking? You remember they were also accused that actually they would close the doors and open the windows.
Was that the Chief Justice? Was the Chief Justice the one accusing them?
I am saying they were accused.
No,
I'm saying they were accused. I didn't say the Chief Justice.
You see,
this time, and why this particular one is important is that it is not just an accusation, because the speaker has access to the record of clocking. So she's not just accusing. In my view, I think she's raising a legitimate point.
Okay.
That even the ones who are not on boycott, the one you have just said, the side of the NRM, the government, you also don't come in. You clock in, and the benches are empty. In that respect, I agree with the speaker that we must expose the duplicity of the boycotters. For me, actually, I wouldn't want to call them boycotters. I would want to call them absconders. Absconders, yes.
So you
because they tell their people as if they are working, when in actual fact they are not. And then we can go and interrogate what is their interest in extending the boycott.
Is whispering here that does Kahindo Tafire, Janet Kataha also fall among the absconders?
I know Honorable Semuju has a love-hate affair, a relationship.
No, that question is due not
with Tafire and Kataha.
And the names are mentioned.
No, but in your own rules of procedure, you are the ones who have accepted virtual attendance. When Otafire is not physically in the house and he's on his smartphone, I can't be sure, unless I'm the speaker or the clerk, to examine
whether he's attending or not.
Whether he's attending or not.
Darius in Machinde is watching us and says,
you made rules for virtual attendance.
Darius in Machinde is watching us and says, this time opposition is doing its work. Government should produce the missing persons. There is no argument against that. Enough is enough. This is a serious matter. There is nothing like negotiations. Boycott is the way to go. If Uganda was UK, the Speaker and Minister of Internal Affairs could have been forced to resign a long time ago.
Out of power.
That's Darius in Machinde. Mzee Chris Tushabe is watching us, and
read.
No, I'm trying to understand what he's saying.
Oh, you are editing.
Okay, no. He says, oh,
you're like insincere.
My father, rest in peace, was a drunkard. He found me in bed and beat me because I did not wake up to welcome him. When I cried, he beat me the more because I cried and made noise. Opposition MPs should not demand for the report.
They should cry.
That's Chris Tushabe. And that's why I was trying to understand the message.
I hope you understood it.
No, that's difficult to understand.
Amos from Kazo district says, kindly let OO tell us why people who were in Kalangala for a rally are in court-martial. Second question, does he, OO, want MPs to climb on tables to show dissatisfaction? Every life matters. How long does it take to have a report when opposition has been requesting for this report since 2021?
Honorable Semuju has stood on tables in that house before. I am saying Semuju is free to choose the method of his struggle. Even if he means he wants to go and drag the speaker from her chair, that should be his method. I wouldn't.
That is violence. Me, I'm not violent.
I wouldn't. But
Gasham Kakuru is watching us and says, at this point, Lewis Rubongaya should be respectful to the viewers who really wish to make sense of the missing persons claim. You are asked how many, and you say very many. At this level, as the Secretary General, you should have the facts, not speculate. Speculation is for me,
I think I gave the
who's not at the
numbers.
party headquarters, who has not met the affected persons. How many habeas corpus applications? Still you claim so many. Did he consult the party legal team to come with the facts? You can't be seated on a panel discussing issues affecting Ugandans, and where you know all of us are not immune to state detention over different cases with 4 senior citizens. And as someone younger, this message is also gets lost along the way somewhere. In fact, this is a big mockery to those whose relatives are missing. Yeah, someone is watching the show. Gasham Kakura, I think, is the one watching the show, and he sent that message. Says that you should come clear with your numbers.
Yeah, and I can quickly respond to that.
Yes.
I think he did not hear what I said. I said that from the election, we have 18 people. Chibalama John Bosco was abducted in 2019. Many others of the 18, some were abducted between 2020 and 2021. Those are the 18 we are talking about. But I have clearly said that abductions have gone on since, have continued to happen since that time. They have still been going on. And I've just actually spoken with our lawyer. Like I said, there have been many habeas corpus applications made by different lawyers. But this particular one, the firm that really represents most of those people, has confirmed that they have 45 writs. 45 writs issued by court. When you talk about applications, some applications have been made and rejected or whatever. But we have been able to get 45 writs since the election, since 2021 election. So we have our numbers and we have our facts very
Out of
clear.
those 45 writs, how many have been produced?
I have told you that the 18 now are still missing.
Okay.
So that means that 18 people, some of whom we've been able to get writs for, are still in detention. Are still missing. I've given an example. Kanata Muhammad, actually there was a habeas corpus writ issued for Kanata Muhammad, together with others that he was taken away with. Others were released, but up to now he's missing.
Okay.
Damrila John, and that's what I'm trying to say.
I'll give you more time after a very short break. Let me take a message from Jose Nwabine, who says, can you see how the bad side of politics of dishonest and blackmail that has always defined our opposition all the time? Even when they are strong and genuine reasons to do whatever is in their means to check the excesses of the state, you can never believe in what they are saying. Their claims are always taken with a pinch of salt by the very citizens they claim to fight for. Be that as it may, issues of human rights are so sacrosanct and should never be abridged, foreclosed and or swept under the carpet by mere political shenanigans. The responsible agencies of the state must account for the missing citizens, if any. Jose Nwabine. Let's take a break. When we come back, I want to give you more time and the gentleman here as we continue this discussion.
NBS Frontline.
This holiday season, we wish you the freedom to enjoy all your football. We wish you fun and lots of Ugandan entertainment. We wish you a good time together. So turn up the volume on your favorite show and be merry all day long. We wish you laughter everywhere in the home. We wish you and your loved ones a very DSTV holiday. Stay connected to DSTV family at only 64,000 shillings and light up your festive season. DSTV Uganda. It's your moment. MTN presents Tugene Muchika Day, the Father-Mother edition, along with the biggest extravaganza of old music made of Uganda, on 2nd December 2023 at Kampala Serena Hotel, featuring Mariam Degiri, Sophie Nantogo, The Ngoni, Theo Benasolo, Queen Florence, Cute Kaye, Gerald Chuewa, alongside Janzi Band. Enters is 100k ordinary, 150k father and mother ticket, 300k gold, and 3 million free platinum table. Or dial *165 *98 hash. Pay 80k using MTN mobile money. Remember, it's only applicable to ordinary tickets. Come with your mama, tata, and family. For reservations, call 0774 982 040. Dress code Chika Day. Sponsored by MTN.
They get off the ground running. And I don't think that many players can look back at that.
StarTimes Uganda Premier League is proudly brought to you by StarTimes.
Upgrade your living space with comfort and style. The end of the year sale is here at Nina Interiors, and you don't want to miss out on the amazing deals we have for you. From comfy sofas to sleek dining tables, we've got everything you need to create a space that truly reflects your unique style. Get the best quality and make huge savings this season. Visit our showrooms at House 17, Ginger Road, and Prime Roses Mall in Luboa to get the best discount for the perfect furniture for your home. Nina Interiors.
From foundations to homes, to skyscrapers, sketches to superhighways, come meet the people raising the bar in construction at the first ever Uganda Construction and Infrastructure Forum and Exhibition. Genuine contractors, architects, engineers, surveyors, financiers, suppliers, manufacturers, and policy makers under one umbrella for all your construction needs. For 4 days of thought-provoking discussions, exhibitions, and networking. Don't miss the enigmatic Professor P.L. Olumumba, our keynote speaker, from the 14th to the 17th of December at Kololo Independence Grounds. Visit www.unapsec.co.ug. For sponsorship and exhibitions, call Miss Helen or Mr. Mike Serunkuma on 0774 992 514.
Long before Europeans arrived in Africa, great kingdoms and empires ruled over many parts of the continent. Uganda comprised several kingdoms, some of which wielded enormous political clout until they were abolished by President Milton Obote.
Even though in law they were outlawed, in the spirit and in the minds and the hearts of the people, those institutions, those cultures, those beliefs remained.
In 1993, President Yoweri Museveni restored them, but only as cultural institutions.
Tukanyenga bukanya mu Lungereza kye bayita consensus.
30 years later, do they signify a repudiation of the modern state or notions of democracy in Uganda and Africa at large?
Sovereignty was taken from Uganda.
Does the blend of traditional and modern systems pave the way for the much-needed political stability and development?
The programs that have been carried out in the last 30 years have benefited not only the people of Uganda, but the entire country.
NBS, in partnership with the author of Thrones and Thorns, Owechitiwa Apollo Makuya, brings you a compelling account of the resurgence of traditional rule in Uganda in a groundbreaking documentary coming soon.
Whatever sport you enjoy, Sport Action on NBS Sport has you covered. Whether you want to support the Uganda Cranes or our netball team, golf or athletics, both domestic sporting events in Uganda and international sporting events in which Ugandans compete are the subjects of our attention. What are you still holding out for? Catch all the excitement on Sport Action by tuning to NBS Sport, brought to you by MTN, the #1 supporter of Ugandan sports.
Frontline.
Harold Achema is a retired diplomat and lives in Arua, and he says human rights are fundamental, inalienable, indivisible, and universal. The decision to boycott plenary sitting of parliament is the minimum that the MPs who are the voice of the people of Uganda can do for our fellow citizens who are missing or whose human rights are not respected and have been violated by state agents. That's Ambassador Harold Achema is watching us from Arua. I have seen a message from, there's so many messages, yes, let me take this one from John Ken the Man. John Ken the Man says, Speaker Anita Mong should know that in her absence, the Deputy Speaker acts as a full speaker. If that is so, why is she now acting in contradiction with what her deputy ruled over the recent opposition walkout of Parliament? The Speaker's action is therefore meaningless and highly regrettable. John Ken Luchamuzi, the Man, President, Conservative Party, former Member of Parliament for Rubaga South. And he says, send my greetings to the panel. Thank you very much, John Ken, the Man. Your message has been delivered. I've seen a message here from so many. Andrew Irumba Katsabe is watching us and says, opposition MP should choose one thing, to be a goat or sheep, not to be both. If you have decided to boycott parliamentary business and business thereof, kindly stop engaging yourselves in any work that helps government to achieve its goals and move forward. When you attend committee meetings, you are facilitating government business. Paralyze government by boycotting everything at parliament, including your fat salaries. In fact, LOP should abandon the UG convoy, motorcade at parliament. Otherwise, stop politricks. Meanwhile, government must, as a matter of civility, produce the abducted people. Anita is 100% correct. In fact, she's helping them to realize that they need to stick to one position. She's whipping them to mean what they say. That's Andrew Irumba Katsabe. I saw some other messages that I need to pick before we go back into the discussion. Okay. I think let me take that for now. We'll pick up more messages as we carry on the discussion. Yes, someone called Kenneth Mwangusha says, the speaker is fine because the reason why the opposition members talked about anti-scandal, corruption, kidnaps, and she doesn't want Semuju and his team to expose them. Semuju and team, thanks for the work. Okay, I think we'll stop it here for now. I'll pick more messages. I've seen a message from the Reverend Willie Muhanga, who's appreciative of the decision of the opposition in Parliament to stay out of plenary sittings, and several others. Lewis, you've been itching to conclude your thought. Let me come back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. One thing I want to make clear is that we have a clear system in place which tracks these violations that happen. Unfortunately, tonight, we are focusing only on one issue of missing persons. But if you see even the demands by the parliamentary team, it's not just about missing persons. We still have very many people who are being tried in the General Court Martial. For example, there is a particular file which had 32 people, including Olivia Lutaya, a young mother who has been in detention for 3 years, really for no crime whatsoever, together with many others. Some of them, many of these young people have lost their parents while in detention. They have, of course, lost their livelihood, etc., etc. And then, of course, there are those who are scattered in other different prisons, and our human rights team keeps tracking them, following up on them, and those kinds of things. So I think we are just talking about missing persons, but the demands of the parliamentary team go beyond that. They're talking about the murders on the lakes, the fishing communities, and the challenges they go through. They're talking about political party activities. In fact, I think this protest in parliament was triggered by the arrest of our president, Chagulanyi Senta, when he was returning to the country, picked off the tarmac, treated in the way he was. Eventually, over 300 of our people were arrested on that day. Some are still in detention as I speak, who were arrested on that day. So I think the issues are very many. And I want to say that what the parliament team is doing is, first of all, within their right to do it. And it is not the oppressor who is going to tell us what to boycott or not. I mean, you can choose your strategy and say, for now, we are going to boycott the plenary, the sittings, while doing the committee work. And you can decide to say we are boycotting everything altogether. So I don't think it should be up to the Speaker of Parliament to illegally try to coerce the members of Parliament into how they should do the protest.
Some viewers, as you have heard in the messages, seem to say that when you say I'll participate in some and stay away from others, you're not being really clear.
No, like I said, it should be up to me who is protesting to decide how I protest. You know, and like I said, there might be different levels.
You're not protesting for yourself. You're protesting for the people.
Yes.
And you're protesting for the people who sent you to Parliament.
You see, one of the things we've been asking about in this show is how effective is the boycott?
Yes.
The fact that the whole nation is discussing these missing persons is effectiveness in its own way. Because we want these people not to just disappear in thin air. I'm sure when Museveni and his people are doing these crimes, they thought it is going to be a closed chapter, the country will move on. But no, we have said no. We must. That's why we're talking about John Bosco Chibalama.
You just had Ofono Pondo say here, the Parliament is continuing with its business.
No, but why is it that, why do you think every day this debate is coming up? Why is it that you see the Speaker trying to issue threats and all that? I want to also talk about something. In the case of Chibalama John Bosco, your Prime Minister, Robin Anabanja, came out bluntly on TV and said, we have this person. And the citizens have been asking, Madam Prime Minister, you said you have this person. Where is he? He has been missing for over 4 years. So I think the Speaker of Parliament should be asking those questions. If a Prime Minister of a country comes up and says that we have this person, we arrested him in Kachiri, we are going to do, so we are saying, produce him before courts of law. These young men who are stuck at Chitaria for 3 years, 4 years, being tried in the court martial, they bring one witness, and then after 3 months, they drop that one and try to come up with, they even amended and introduced a new charge after 2 years of detention of these people. There are 2 decisions of courts in this country, the Constitutional Court. In the Kabazigurka case and the subsequent case, clearly saying that civilians should not be tried in military courts. But the state has chosen to completely ignore that.
You're a lawyer with lawyers, and you have a legal team that you retain.
Yeah.
Have you protested this trial?
Of course. Of course. You know, like I said, we have engaged almost every gear. For example, for the Kabazigurka case, there is a pending appeal in the Supreme Court, which they have sat on and decided not to hear, not to determine. You understand? So that is how institutions in this country have been completely reduced into, I don't know what to say. Because how can a Supreme Court sit on such an important case and not determine it. Because the Constitutional Court clearly said civilians should not be tried in military courts. You have these NUP supporters. And you know what? For example, the other day I was seeing that people were suspected of killing tourists in Queen Elizabeth are being tried before civilian courts. But NUP supporters, for simply being found wearing a beret, you are taken to the General Court Martial. Which is essentially not a court.
I saw your tweet on that. And Davis Mwambusa is watching us and says, disappearing citizens without trace is a meanism without a mean. This is not the right path to nation building and is a recipe for violent political conflict. Therefore, there is need for bipartisanship in Parliament to demand missing persons accountability from the executive. That's Mwambusia Ndebesa. Another viewer here, who is this? Let me say, Jose Nwabine. I think I read Jose's message before we took a break. Yes.
Really?
Yes,
you know, I've been out of this thing for a while, but I ask myself, fundamentally, what is the driver of all this? What does government seek to achieve by arresting literally small people? I mean, if you arrest Latigo, you probably would even make some point. But small people staying in detention for years, what is government trying to achieve? If I could understand
is it even a government?
I don't know. Because
you see, a government cannot behave like a criminal organization.
And that is the crisis. And while Nope is being blamed for walking out of Parliament, the cases that he has been citing, where they followed court processes, judicial processes to resolve some of these things, is clear evidence that they are responsible citizens too. I mean, as a country, we should really calm down. Accept that things have been done wrongly, and that we can actually do better.
Thank you. Daniel is watching us from the US and says, thank you for organizing this valuable discussion on the current human rights situation in Uganda. I kindly request that you consider inviting a representative from the Uganda government, security forces, to address the concerns regarding the missing individuals and those who are reportedly held in military detention. It is important to engage someone who can genuinely address these questions and provide meaningful insights into the government's activities. Continuing to rely solely on a spokesperson, who consistently fails to provide satisfactory answers might hinder productive dialogue. Daniel, I can tell you that we make efforts to reach out to whoever we think can add value to this discussion all the time, and sometimes we're not successful, especially with government people to come and give accountability.
Now, is that person saying that his comment is useless?
Yeah?
Is that person saying his comment is useless?
I have read his comment.
No, but I'm saying...
and he's watching.
Is he saying...
please speak to him.
Is he saying that because he's not in the government, he's not in NOV, he's not in Uganda, his comment is useless?
Please speak to Daniel, he's watching.
I'm speaking to him, through you.
Reverend Willie Muhanga in Fort Portal is watching us and says, I'm also watching from Fort Portal. Nothing can be compared to life. Even NRM MPs should join the boycott. I salute Matthias Mpuga, and the entire country should join the struggle for demanding the missing Ugandans. The religious leaders should also use their pulpits to demand for the missing persons. That's Reverend Willie Muhanga. Let's take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, I'll come to Honorable Semuju and Godba Tumshabe. We'll be right back.
You send Semuju to Afro Mumbai.
NBS Frontline.
always.
Up next. Brought to you by
Rock Boom, now in a new bottle with the same taste and same positive energy. Available in a 320 ml PET bottle. Rock Boom, feel the positive energy.